Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to the patch notes for Wild Rift patch 5.1b. We finally have some buffs this patch that I've been asking for such a long time. We've also got some reworks in this patch, we've got some new events, and we also have the challenge mode, which is the endless mode, I guess you can call it, of the PvE mode. So lots to look forward to in this patch. There is one thing that on the picture that I had of the patch notes, there was a buff to Viego. Unfortunately, I don't have that in this, so you might have to go to the official website maybe to take a look and see what the Viego buffs are. For the Viego buffs, I'm not too sure what they are. I'll update you all if there is anything that comes out or any updates that I have on these patch notes. Right, let's get straight into it. So final stand, the challenge mode. This is the endless mode for the PvE mode, something that should have been released probably on day one of the PvE mode, but maybe they just wanted to delay it a little bit more so all the content doesn't come out at once. Kind of makes sense, I guess. Siege of the Blessed Isles, Journey to Mastery, and also Pride 2024. So a few extra events there to look forward to. We've got the Misfortune and Riven again overhaul in this patch. Try them out and earn rewards like Power Energy. So events on reworks, I'm all down for that, I guess. We also got Jubilant colors as well. Show off your Jubilant covers with us. We have a new event, Emblem Icons and Chests. This is probably to do with the Pride event, which will be happening soon. Right. Champion changes. Some of these changes are absolutely wild, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into some of these champions that I haven't played for such a long time. First one being Amumu. I mean, Amumu hasn't been a good jungler for quite some time. Some people still build Amumu as kind of a full AP kind of burst mage, I guess you can say in a way, or like a burst assassin Amumu. I still don't think that's the best way to play Amumu, but just Amumu in general, I don't think I've seen Amumu been played for months and months now, so really happy to see Amumu getting buffed. You can see the base damage and also the percent damage going up, so bit of a buff there to the second ability. This will help with this jungle clear speed and also in team fights as well. Aurelion Sol nerf again, thank God. I mean, this champion is still completely broken, even after they adjusted the way that you get the stacks of Stardust. You still scale infinitely, you still scale super well into the late game. So yeah, not going to be doing that. Movement speed during Breath of Light is going down. The maximum range as well of Starfire is also going down, and then the range of casting with Singularity, the third ability, is also going down. So a bit less range for Aurelion Sol. That means he needs to be closer to actually use his abilities, which means that he might get caught by things like hook or crowd control and things like that. I think the crazy thing with Aurelion Sol is that you can move whilst using your first ability, and with items like Rhyli's Crystal Scepter, it makes it really difficult to try and lock Aurelion Sol down. But I think these changes will be really good for Aurelion Sol. Brand, I've been asking for a buff for Brand for such a long time. This champion has been completely out of the meta for such a long time. Health per level is nice. One thing that I say is really bad with Brand is that when you play Brand in mid lane or even down the dual lane, he's super squishy. He gets caught once, he gets pretty much one shot. So health per level is nice. I would have probably preferred base health, so he has a bit more early game power, but health per level is also okay, going up by 9 per level, which is kind of nice. Mana cost going down on the second ability, and also damage going down, it seems like, actually on the third ability. Interesting. So they're actually kind of nerfing and buffing him at the same time, which makes it really interesting. So I guess they're just reducing mana, but then reducing the damage, which I'm kind of surprised that they reduced the damage on the third ability, to be fair. I thought this was just a whole on buff. I scrolled through and quickly looked through these, and I was like, oh, number going up, or number going down, sorry, for mana cost, and I didn't even look at the third part. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess trying to balance him out a little bit. Honestly, they probably could have left this, and I think Brand would have been completely fine. I don't know if they're scared about him being completely broken. I don't think there's nothing to be scared of, to be honest with you. Garen buff again as well. I still think Garen is pretty fine champion, especially because he's a super easy champion to play as well. So the health regeneration on the passive is going up. So instead of 1 plus your champion level times 0.2, it's now 2 plus your champion level times 0.2. So you get a little bit of extra bonuses there for that. This works really well with second wind. You can kind of stack the healing on top of each other. Makes it super difficult to try and poke out Garen or even try and win lanes with Garen. So this is going to make it even more difficult to lane against Garen. Duration of the damage reduction, so a bit stronger in the early game, is going to be nerfed though when you hit level 4. Only by 1 second though, which I think is completely fine. And damage reduction at the first 1 second has gone from 70% up to 80%. So if you can use your second ability at the right time, and you can reduce the damage by 80%, which is quite nice. Then the damage of the third ability, the AD ratio of the third ability is going up by 5% at every single rank. So a bit more damage to the third ability, a bit more healing, and also a bit more damage reduction as well. And also the duration getting increased. So this is actually going to be really nice for Garen, again, during the laner phase. So laner phase buff, and to be fair, just throughout the whole game is going to be a buff, which is quite nice. Graves is a bit of a weird one. It says here, right, Graves has been popping off with Ruined Infinity Edge, which I've never seen Graves before in this patch, to be fair. These changes will make sure he's not overwhelming his opponents. But then when you read the change, it says damage of each bullet increased by equipped in with Ruined Infinity Edge. The percentage is going up. And then the first ability, the damage is also going up. So I'm not too sure why that's saying that he's been popping off with Infinity Edge, but then they're increasing the damage of each bullet. I'm not too sure about that one. I mean, it looks like a buff to me. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is a buff, but I'm not too sure about the description. Maybe the description is a little bit wrong. Jarvan buff. I think the only way you can really play Jarvan at the moment is like kind of this full one-shot build. But I think with the nerf to First Strike, you can actually play Conqueror Jarvan. It's kind of this Bruiser Jarvan. I think with these changes, it will also help him out a lot. Base health regeneration is quite nice. The shield, the base shield on the second ability going up by 20 at every single rank. It scales more with maximum health, plus number of nearby enemy champions. Percentage is staying the same. So it's just basically the base stats and also the scaling with the percentage of your maximum health also going up. So again, more of a Bruiser Jarvan buff, and also the slow going up by 10% at every single rank. So pretty nice changes there for Jarvan. Then the attack speed increased by activating the ability of casting. This goes up by 5% every single rank. So overall, some really nice buffs for Jarvan. I think this is going to help his survivability a lot, especially with things like First Strike getting nerfed. I've been really feeling the effect of First Strike from the last few patches, where it's not as strong as what it was before, and you're not getting one shot maybe as much. You still get one shot, and it's still pretty scary to play against assassins, but it's not as scary as what it was before. You know, the nerf to First Strike was pretty big. Kayle buffs. Hallelujah. We finally get some Kayle buffs. Would it mean anything? Probably not, to be honest with you. Base armor going up, armor growth going up. This is going to help a little bit in terms of the early and mid game. Not going to mean too much difference in late game, but to be fair, once you hit Kayle late game, she's probably one of the strongest champions in the game. Active damage on Kayle's third ability, the percentage has gone up ever so slightly. Still scales with the same 0.02% of your ability power, but the base percentage is going up. So a little bit more active damage on the third ability. This will help Kayle with both farming, poking in the laning phase, you know, help her a little bit in the laning phase as well in terms of trying to trade when she reaches level 5. Overall, pretty decent, to be fair. I think these are decent changes. I don't think it will do much to Kayle. I think it's going in the right direction for sure. K nerfs, bonus AD going down on the second ability and bonus AD going down on the ultimate. Kind of warranted. I kind of put Kayn lower on the tier list because I don't think Kayn is having as much impact as other junglers now. This is definitely going to put him down to S tier. I don't think he will go down to A tier. This pretty much warrants me putting him down in S tier now. Even though I kind of didn't even know these before I did the tier list. But yeah, the percentage damage going down by 20% from 130 down to 110. This going down from 175 to 165. Pretty big nerf there. Base damage stays the same, but I think that's, you know, totally fine. Master Yi buffs again. These might be a little bit scary. I'll be totally honest with you. They're changing Meditate again. Well, I say changing, but it has a new effect. But a damage reduction effect during the first 0.5 seconds of channeling will continue after the channel is interrupted. So it will keep on channeling. And if your channeling is interrupted, then the damage reduction effect will still happen after that. So even if you get CC'd now as Master Yi, which is one of the biggest weaknesses for Master Yi, is that if he gets crowd controlled, if he gets caught in a crowd control, and if he can't heal with Meditate, And if he can't get that damage reduction, then he's going to be completely exposed. This kind of completely stops that now, because you're still going to get the damage reduction effect during the first 0.5 seconds, even if you're going to get TC, you know, even if the channeling gets interrupted. I mean, it's not too bad. Obviously, it's not that long, but I think that's a really, really good change. And I think it's because sometimes with Master Yi, when you use your second ability, you don't really want to use it against crowd control because you lose that damage reduction. But now you kind of want to time it where it kind of works as like a cleanse now, I guess, in a way. Well, you need to use it beforehand, but you want to use your second ability before you get hit by the CC, because even if it gets interrupted, you still get the damage reduction, which is kind of nice. And then they're buffing the true on-hit damage again of Wuju style. Again, kind of nerfing they did this change before where they nerfed the bonus AD that you get from your third ability, but they buffed the base damage. Well, actually, no, they buffed the base damage, it looks like, at level 1, and then they're nerfing it actually at maximum level. So maybe not as strong buffs as what I thought. And nerfing it a little bit in late game. I mean, late game Master Yi is pretty strong anyway. Buffing a little bit in the early game. This is normally the second ability that you max. So you probably won't feel this effect of the nerf until a little bit later on, maybe like level 10, level 12. But it's a bit of a buff in the early game. AD scaling doesn't really mean too much because you're mainly building more attack speed anyway, to be fair, with Master Yi now. But this is also a pretty damn nice change. Miss Fortune rework coming out May 30th, by the way. So a couple of weeks until we get Miss Fortune's rework. I don't like the look of this rework. I'll be totally honest with you. I mean, yes, Miss Fortune is super annoying to play against in terms of her passive, her first ability. You know, her first ability has like the weirdest anglings going, and sometimes it's kind of, you kind of get poked down and then you're just kind of destroyed and you're screwed. The thing is like, that's kind of the strength of Miss Fortune, and that's why people pick Miss Fortune, because she's such a lane bully and she's going to be a bit weaker in the later games. I feel like what they're doing with these changes, they're making her kind of a little bit weaker in the early game, but trying to make her stronger in the later stages of the game. I feel like that's what they're doing anyway. So Love Tap, they removed the bonus physical damage when attacking a new target. So what people do in Miss Fortune is use their first ability on a minion, and then that will bounce to an enemy champion. The second part of the first ability does more damage, and obviously because you're hitting a new target, you get that Love Tap passive, so you deal a lot of damage with your first ability. Now you apply love Tap when attacking enemy champions or epic monsters. At 3 stacks, it increases Miss Fortune's damage to the target by 8%, increasing with champion level. So now Miss Fortune is less of a auto attack the same auto attack different targets and trying to swap targets and swap between minions and auto attacking, etc., and trying to deal a lot of burst damage, to now trying to deal more consistent damage to one target. Again, in my opinion, this buffs a lot more with Miss Fortune when it comes to team fights, and when it comes to trying to duel and trying to do a lot more when it comes to killing bruisers. This nerfs her a lot in the early game. She's not going to be able to poke as heavy as what she did before with her passive and also her first ability. It's not going to be the same. Instead, it's going to be more of trying to get these stacks up to 3 stacks and then dealing the bonus damage afterwards. So you can't just sit back, use your first ability and deal all this free damage, basically. So Double Up now, the second hit from Double Up will critically strike and apply 3 stacks of Love Tap. So it's still critically strike, but it will apply 3 stacks of Love Tap straight away. So you can deal this bonus damage. However, you need to deal damage after you apply these 3 stacks. So yes, it will apply 3 stacks of Love Tap straight away, but if you're not in range of the target to actually deal the extra 8% damage, is there any point of it? You know, are you ever going to walk up with Miss Fortune like that after you stack 3 times? Probably not. Strut, they removed the active where triggering Love Tap during the cooldown of Strut reduces your cooldown by 2 seconds. Now it has a new active where attacking targets with full stacks of Love Tap reduces the remaining cooldown of Strut. This is actually not the active. This is the passive part of the second ability. Not too sure why this says active. The active part is where you gain the movement speed and also attack speed. But this isn't basically changing the passive. So now attacking targets with full stacks of Love Tap reduces the remaining cooldown Strut by 1 second. So you can reduce the cooldown instead by this, instead of basically just triggering Love Tap once. So before you trigger Love Tap once, you reduce the cooldown. Now it's more of, again, a consistent thing where if you auto attack the same target over and over again, you're going to reduce the cooldown by 1 second every single time. Let me know what you think of Miss Fortune's rework. Like I said, I'm not really a big fan of it, in my opinion. Like I said, the main reason why people pick Miss Fortune is because of her strong early game and because of how strong she is just in general. I'm not too sure what this is going to do in terms of how she's going to be like. You could probably do this crazy thing where you can try and apply Love Tap and then use your ultimate and get that 8% extra damage. But again, that's, in my opinion, it's going to be really, really difficult to try and do. But we'll see how things go with Miss Fortune. Pyke, bit of a nerf to Pyke here, reducing the stun time based on the percentage of your armor penetration. A little bit nerf there to the CC of Pyke. Again, one of the strongest supports right now for sure. Rammus buffs. I know Why So Salty is definitely going to be liking this. One of my friends that I've been duoing with, some of the videos you might have seen Rammus support. Just to be honest, it's not because of the pick, it's just because someone that I play with just loves Rammus. Definitely going to be loving these changes. Rolling movement speed going up by 25 base, which is kind of crazy. I mean, your champion level time, it's not going to be times by 2 anymore, so the scaling is maybe not going to be as much, but the early game is going to be a lot more now with the rolling movement speed, which is not the first ability, by the way. This is just the base movement speed that you get from the passive. And then the movement speed of the first ability is going up by 10%. Obviously because you're like your level times 5. So this part stays the same, so it's just the base going up by 10%. Really cool changes from Rammus. I mean, I've been seeing Rammus perform pretty well. I'm just saying, kind of crazy. Riven is getting a reset on her ultimate. Oh, this is the rework for rework for Riven as well. Again, going to be the 30th of May. So Riven, new. During Blade of the Exile, every takedown of a target resets the number of wind slashes cast she has and extends his ability duration for 3 seconds more, up to 12 seconds. This is a pretty big change. I really, really like this change. It now kind of invites you more to engage more with Riven and kind of invites you to dash in a lot more and try to play a bit more aggressive, because if you do get that takedown, then you're just going to stay stronger for a longer amount of time. I mean, you can increase it by up to 12 seconds as well, which is kind of crazy in my opinion. Again, 30th of May as well. Pretty interesting. Swain, again, another champion, which I've had a bit of success with Swain support, but that's about it. Base magic resist going up, magic resist per level going up, and the first ability from the first bolts and also the subsequent bolts after that. Base damage is going up by 5 here, and the AP ratio is going up on both. It doesn't look like the base damage is going up here. So AP ratio going up on these, and the base damage of the first bolts also going up. So this is the first bolts that hit, and then all other bolts afterwards does a little bit of extra damage afterwards. Pretty nice for Swain. I mean, this is Swain's main early game tool, to be fair, in terms of poking, last hitting minions. I'm trying to do a little bit with that, so really, really nice. Also helps in a bit in team fights as well, especially with the tank stats from the magic resist. Thank God. I mean, Talon getting nerfed is like a blessing in disguise. Range damage going down by 20 at every single rank on the range damage, which is crazy for Talon. This going down by 20 base damage is crazy. Health regeneration from taking down champions is also going up ever so slightly, but that's completely fine. Like, this base damage going down by 20 is nuts. Not only that, but the rake also going down 10 at every single rank, 5% bonus damage, 10 at every single rank, and the same bonus damage. Like, these nerfs are pretty big to Talon. Pretty big, I would say, to Talon. I mean, thank God for this. I mean, Talon is by far one of the best junglers right now. I mean, this is definitely going to bring champions like Hecarim up, and to be fair, I mean, I think most first strike junglers might be kind of dead. Not dead completely, but they might be pretty, you know, a lot weaker than what they were before. You know, first strike nerfs, a bunch of these champions getting nerfed as well. So not only is their main rune getting nerfed, but also the base stats of the champion also getting nerfed. So might bring up a more possibilities of some other junglers. We've already seen Lily also being very popular right now, so I have to see what that is. Game pain changes, items. The base health of Titanic Hydra is going down by 100. This was pretty much being built by every single bruiser. You know, even if you play champions like Camille, Jax, kind of any bruiser or any tank was building this, and it was just providing you with too much health and too much damage overall. So just nerfing Titanic Hydra, which means that you never really want to build this as an early game item now. Sunfire Aegis, thank God this item got buffed. I really like Sunfire Aegis as an item. I think it's really cool as an item, but it just wasn't as strong compared to other tank items. So the price is going down by 100. The damage range is going up by 50, which is pretty big. So it means that you can get the aura and you don't have to be right next to someone to deal the extra damage. And also the bonus damage taken by enemy champions after being damaged by Immolate is going up by 3%. So 3% damage, it only goes up to 4 stacks. But this means that you get a little bit more damage early on compared to having to wait and scale up for 5 seconds. You get a little bit more damage early on. It's not going to maybe scale as much, but a little bit damage early on is pretty nice in my opinion. It means that you can just deal more damage a lot more later on, and you can be a bit more powerful when building this as a first item now. And the damage range, like I mentioned, is also really nice. More mana buffs as well. My God, this patch is cooking. Grants AD equal to now 2% of your maximum health instead of 1.5%. Corki and Ezreal might be through the roof after these changes. They might be through the roof. I have to kind of work out how much extra damage they're actually going to be getting now with the extra mana that you get. Not the extra mana, but the mana that you get from more mana. But this change is pretty damn good. Not only that, Fimbulwinter also getting buffed as well. I never really liked this item. I know a lot of people build it on Blitzcrank, but I just don't really see the point of it on Blitzcrank. But now the bonus health going up by 2% from 8% up to 10%, depending on your maximum mana. Again, these two changes have me cooked. Like, I'm thinking of some crazy stuff with these two changes. Like I said, you know, Ezreal, that Fimbulwinter, maybe Swain, Ornn could be really, really good. There could be some few champions that definitely build Fimbulwinter. And this is a great change as well. More of Malmortius, the shield no longer decays with time. Great change. I mean, at the moment, as a, it says there, if you're a marksman or fighter against a team that decent amount of magic damage, it can be hard to deal with. We're adjusting more slightly, so marksman fighters can deal with magic damage more effectively. I think that More of Malmortius was already a good item. Now it's become an even stronger item against magic damage. I always say as a marksman that you should build More of Malmortius if you are against magic damage, and this just makes it even more warranted. And then you have the skins, Chroma Crash skins coming out, which I'm really excited for. Interesting that they have Jinx, Samira, and Echo in this, so I'm not too sure if they're doing another chest thing or another gacha, because it says that these skins are coming back. So it's actually nice if people want to get hold of these skins that they missed before. I was lucky enough to pick them up in the shop anyway, so I'm totally fine with that. Some extra bits. Fixed the description bug for Terminus. Fix the bomb mantle for 12th hour. Now the bonus health gained from runes, art steal, and champion abilities will correctly calculate when mantle the 12th hour triggers lifeline. Fix the bomb with death stance. Now the bonus health gained from runes, blah, 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 will be correctly calculated when death stance triggers dance. And what the passive's called? Dance? I don't know. Anyway, like I said, pretty good patch. I mean, it's got a pretty good changes. Like I said, I've been saying this for past few patches now. You know, these A, B, and C patches have a lot more changes than what they used to do. There's a lot more meta changing stuff. There's a lot more content, I guess, for us to kind of look through as well and kind of play as well, which I'm really excited to, you know, come to tomorrow's stream and, you know, play some of these changes, test out some of these champions as well. Obviously we have the final stance game mode as well, which again is going to be super exciting. So yeah, let me know what you think of changes. Let me know what you think of the reworks as well, both Miss Fortune and Riven coming out on the 30th of May. Again, I don't have the Viego changes, but if there is anything, then I'll keep you updated as always. But I appreciate all the support. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next Wilder video. Peace.